A too long didn't watch summary of this video. All the quarterbacks are dying, and if you play in Florida, run. Grossi Posse Packer Nation, welcome to an episode of Packcast, the podcast where you don't have to be a Packers fan, but it sure does help. I am your host, Tom Grossi. And what we're going to be doing today is breaking down week 2 in the NFL. Now, we're not going to go through every single game, but we'll go through some of the biggest stories, some of the biggest games of the week, and of course, some of the freaking fracking injuries that occurred. You know, for fantasy owners of Drew freaking Brees, who now have to find a new quarterback, I'm stuck with Jimmy Garoppolo. I hope you're happy, Drew. I hope you're happy. But let's break it down in week 2. So, 2 of the biggest stories coming out involving quarterbacks. Actually 3 stories. 1, the Jets can't keep one. Sam Darnold had a sleepover in which they played spin the bottle, so he got mononucleosis, which means that he's going to be out until at least week 4. And on top of that, you also have Trevor Siemian dying, and so now they're on their 3rd backup. And again, God help you if you're a Jets quarterback, and I don't even know who you go with. But keeping in the quarterback tradition, Ben Roethlisberger is also out for the season. Ouch. Meaning that the Pittsburgh Steelers' chances of going to the playoffs have just rapidly declined, in that James Conner also suffered an injury, but he seems to be okay. He is a day-to-day injury, but right now they're going to have Rudolph come in there, and things are not looking great. Again, Rudolph didn't look terrible against Seattle, but it's going to be an uphill battle when you got guys like the Ravens in that division. The Browns I'm still not scared of, considering they didn't really impress me by beating the crap out of the Jets. And then, of course, as was just mentioned, you got Drew Brees, who the doctors say that they're not going to be able to tell a timetable until after the surgery, but it's roughly going to be around 6 weeks, which means that good old Teddy Bridgewater is going to be getting the start. I hope all the best for Teddy. He was thrown into a bad situation last week against the Rams, but it's going to be tough. And as I have put it, if he's out for 6 weeks, if they can win half of those games, if they can split it 3-3, I still think they have a good shot at making the playoffs. But, Michael Thomas is definitely going to be less efficient now, and I can see Kamara is going to be getting very, very busy as Bridgewater is going to be dumping it off a lot to him and just handing the ball off and saying, please, God, don't kill me. But right now, then, the NFC South is pretty open. Obviously, the Falcons coming away with a last-second win against the Philadelphia Eagles, who struggled mightily in that Sunday night game. And so they were able to pick up a win after getting embarrassed by the Vikings week 1. Then you have the Panthers, who are now sitting at 0-2. Again, they had a really close game week 1 against the Rams, and then they looked absolutely terrible, and Cam Newton looked like Stregonona after the game. So I don't even know what to make of that. But on the Thursday night game, that was pretty horrendous. I would have never thought that the Buccaneers would actually have beaten the Panthers, but the Panthers just didn't look good. And when your main source of points and yards is Christian McCaffrey, like, you're going to have to give him a break at some point, because those little legs are going to break. And so the Panthers look to be in big trouble, but with the Saints now falling off, I think that division is wide open if they want to actually do something, win it. Now, also, in addition, you had the freaking fracking Lions beating the Chargers. Who the hell would have predicted that? You had the Chargers get 2 touchdowns taken away by pass interference calls, but the Chargers just did not look good. They're suffering from a litany of injuries right now, but yeah, that was just ugly. Just real ugly. A big win for the Lions, so they didn't have to start 0-1-1 after tying with the Cardinals, and so I think this is a big boost for them. I wish I could say the Packers were the only undefeated team, but the Lions had to go and steal the thunder off that. The Texans were able to pull off a 1-point victory against the Jaguars, and listen, after the game, Jalen Ramsey is just like, I'm going to head out now. So the all-pro, 2-time Pro Bowler cornerback looks to be hitting the free market. And the Jaguars, they want at least a first-round pick, probably 2 for him, which they probably will get, and he will become the highest-paid cornerback in the NFL, which will be a high price to pay, but you're getting a guy who in the prime of his career is going to do amazing things. Obviously has some contentious relationships with his coaches, and bad talks just about every single quarterback there is. But, again, he's a damn good player, and he usually shows up every single week. And the guy, hasn't had a major injury, so that's also a big plus, too. But the Jaguars, again, losing the best player on their team, yeah, and still, they are not even the worst team in Florida. Then, of course, you had the big news with the Green Bay mother-loving Packers going 2-0, beating two divisional rivals, first the Bears and now the Vikings, scoring 21 points and then saying, you know what, I'm done now. I'm not gonna play offense anymore. And still coming away with a victory as the Broncos head to Lambeau this coming week. They should be going 3-0, but looking good for the Packers so far. We talked about the Patriots, in which, good God, the Dolphins are so bad. Also, trading away their first-round draft pick last year, Minkah Fitzpatrick, who is a type of guy that you build a team around. And they were like, no, we're not going to do that. They're essentially like Gollum from Lord of the Rings, and they are just hoarding instead of the one ring, because, no, they're hoarding just draft picks. They're like, it's okay. We're going to be good. My precious draft picks. Because if we get all the draft picks and we just own pick number 1 through 32, maybe we'll be able to put a good team together. And poor Josh Rosen is out there just like, really? First Arizona and now this? It's not going well for him now. But yeah, losing 43-0. Their defense is so horrendously bad. Their offense is so horrendously bad. I don't even know what to do. If you're a Dolphins fan, just go to sleep and then wake up next year. That's the best I got for you. Hibernation. Swim south for the winter. Further south than Florida. Like Antarctica. And then we had the Rams beating the Saints, of course, and after Drew Brees went out, it really wasn't that much of a close matchup, but the Rams still didn't look that great. Obviously struggled against the Panthers week 1. They're not as scary as they were last year, so it's going to be interesting. Everyone was in love with Sean McVay for the past couple seasons, and even if you sniffed his hair one time, they're like, hey, well, let's make you a head coach. It's going to be interesting to see. The Rams are still 2-0. They're still pulling off victories, and they're in a division where they can skate on by a little bit, but, I wouldn't be surprised if, they take an early exit out of the playoffs, if they even make it that far. Then, of course, you have the frackin' Chicago Bears, who should have lost the game against the Denver Broncos. But there was a BS roughing the passer call against Bradley Chubb. Trubisky made an actual good throw, and what is this? A kicker for the Bears actually winning the game, sealing the deal with a 53-yard field goal at the last second. So, good for Eddie Pinheiro. Good for you. Screw you, Chicago. You shouldn't have won that game. But Chicago avoids barely starting 0-2, which would have just been absolutely delicious. Absolutely delicious. And the refs had to ruin it. And then, of course, you had the Sunday night game with the Falcons and the Eagles. Eagles didn't really look great in week 1, but Deshaun Jackson kind of saved the day, beating the Redskins, and then really didn't look good in week 2. Obviously, you had guys like Alshon Jeffrey get injured and Deshaun Jackson get injured, but the Eagles were about to pull off a win, and then Julio Jones was like, oh, wait, they just gave me a crap ton of money. I'm going to run to the bank real quick, and while I'm there, let me stop in the end zone scoring. So, yeah, in addition, the Browns were able to pick up a win against the Jets, who are just pulling random people out of the stands to be their quarterback. Nothing impressed me about that whatsoever. So, all in all, I think the majority of the drama happened off the field with injuries, with trades, and what have you. So, an absolutely crazy week in the NFL. I still think you have, obviously, the Chiefs are still rocking and rolling. The Raiders played well for, a little bit, and then that went away. The second quarter was all Patrick Mahomes, who threw 4 touchdowns. You have the Chiefs, you have the Patriots, who are the top 2. Cowboys fans, I know you beat the Redskins. I'm not calling you world beaters because you beat the freaking Giants and you beat up on the Redskins. Which, by the way, also in other news, yeah, we decided to bench Eli Manning, so now Daniel Jones is going to get the start next week on the road against Tampa. So if that doesn't work out, that'll be the most Giants thing ever, because we're somehow blaming Eli Manning when he has 0 weapons except Saquon Barkley. Yep, that's going to be an interesting start. But who knows? Daniel Jones could provide a spark for them. But it's not like you guys are going to make the playoffs anyway. So, yeah, overall, a crazy freaking fracking week in the NFL. And it's just week 2. It's week 2. I'm recording 4 videos today. I'm sorry, I'm recording 6 videos today and 4 of them are coming out today. That's how much news is coming out. For like 5 seconds, can we just stop, please? I'm tired and I want to go to bed. But what was the craziest news for you? What was the biggest freaking game that you had? There should be a bunch of really good games coming up this week, of course, like the Ravens and the Chiefs. Really looking forward to that. Let me know what you think down in the comments below. You can always find me at TomGrossiComedy.com or at TomGrossiComedy. All the social media you see down below. Check out podcasts on SoundCloud, iTunes, Google Play Music, Spotify, and YouTube. And a big shout out and thank you all the Patreon members over at patreon.com/TomGrossiComedy. So we'll have predictions tomorrow for week 3. And then, of course, we'll have the Broncos interview on Thursday with the one and only Brandon Perna of That's Good Sports. But thank you so much for watching. I am Tom Grossi. And as always, go Pack Go.